grade science experiment, and the standard we are meeting is we are comparing Earth's saltwater and freshwater features. The essential question we want to attempt to answer is how to make salt water suitable to drink. 70% of the planet is covered with water, and 97% of that water is undrinkable because it contains salt. So we're going to attempt to remove the salt from water. And we want to discuss with the students first, how would you attempt to remove the salt from water, from salt water? How are you going to get the salt out of that water?
I would get a filter, and then when you dump it in, I would take the salt out and make fresh
Filter.
water.
You probably need a pretty big filter, wouldn't you?
Yes.
All right, we're going to put some salt in here. Okay, I want you to taste that. Dip your finger in there and see if you can taste that salt.
Yep.
Can you taste it? Okay. Now how are you going to get that salt out? You think we're going to filter it out. All right, well look what we have. Would this work as a filter?
Yeah.
It would. Let me see if I have another cup. Okay, so we're going to use this as our filter. I want you to take that salt water, and I want you to dump it slowly. I'll use a coffee filter. Whoops. Oh boy. It's leaking. Ah! Oh, okay, I can hear it dripping in there. Okay, just a little bit more. All right, let's see. Okay, that's enough. Dip your finger down in there and tell me, what does it taste like?
Regular.
Is it still salty? You can still taste the salt, can't you?
A little.
Yeah, I filtered it out a little, but not a whole lot. The way that you get the salt out of the water is to put it in a distillery. And what they do is they boil the water, and then they get the salt out of it that way. Well, we really can't do that, but what we did was we took some salt water, and we have it in the sun. The sun's not very warm right now, but the hope is that it'll start to evaporate, the water will start to evaporate, and then it'll start to pool over into the bag, and it should, the water that goes into the bag, what should happen? What should it taste like?
Regular water.
Regular water. The salt should come out of that water. That's what the hope is. Will the salt disappear?
No.
Where do you think the salt's going to end up at?
In the cup.
It'll end up in the bottom of the cup. And the water that comes out, that evaporates and creates condensation and then starts to drip down in the bag, it should be clean, clear drinking water. Okay, so you are going to perform this experiment as a group. You're going to add 2 or 3 good shakes of salt to a water in a small cup. All right, this is going to be your experiment. Oh, go right ahead, you can do that. Okay, and now you're going to stir it until it's completely dissolved. How's it look?
Good.
What do you mean good?
It looks dissolved.
It looks dissolved. Does it look like just regular old water? Or
Yeah.
can you look at that cup and say, oh, I know that's salt water? Can you?
No.
No, you cannot. So you're going to record your observations on the hold the salt paper. Okay, and then without spilling any water, you're going to put it in this cup, put it in this baggie, and we're going to leave it sitting in the sun for 15 minutes. What do you think is going to happen?
I think the water will try to evaporate.
Try to, or will it?
Will it?
It'll
Will.
evaporate, but what's the bag going to do?
It's going to keep it from evaporating.
It's going to catch it, isn't it?
Yeah. And then the salt will be left in the cup.
That's right. So you're going to make a prediction on this line. On number 2, that's what you're going to make a prediction of what you think is going to happen. After 15 minutes, we should have seen some evaporation and condensation. You're going to open up that bag. You're going to write down what you see and what do you think happened. Then you're going to write that down. Then you're going to taste that water. And how do you think that water on the outside of the cup is going to taste?
Like regular water.
Yeah. No, you think the salt's going to be gone, and you already said where is the salt going to end up?
In the bottom cup.
Okay. Now, you're going to answer this question as a group. Based on your experiment, explain how the sun's energy worked to purify the water.
The sun's energy evaporated the water and left the regular salt, because it can't evaporate, in the cup. And then the water was left in the back.
What did the energy from the sun do to the water? What did it do to make the water begin to evaporate?
It heated it up.
It did. It heated it up and caused it to start evaporating. So, how might a device like this be used to make ocean water drinkable? What do you think they could? Do you think that they could create something that could do basically the same thing?
Yeah.
You'd have to use, what are those things called? Those big, like when we drive down to the beach and we can see them on the side of the road. Do you remember what those are called?
No.
Those solar
Panels?
Yeah, they'd have to use big solar. It'd take a lot, wouldn't it, to harness that much, a lot of solar panels to harness that energy. But that would be one way to purify the salt water and turn it into drinking water, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah. And you think you proved that in this experiment?
Yeah.
I think you did too. Very good. Thank you, Igor. We're done.